to why that happens and why it's so effective is when I write an email, I do not first think about how I'm going to sell something. I do not think about any of that stuff, any of the direct response stuff. And so that's why it's so different for him, and why I referred so many of my audience to him, because we're very different this way. You need both, but here's how I approach it. I sit down to write the email, and it's all about them. It's like I literally feel connected to my audience. I don't think of them as a list. When I write the email, do not think of them as a list at all. I think of them as like people, friends that I care about, that that I'm going to connect with about something. And if you can approach it from that way, you're going to stand out. This is becoming more and more important because a lot of people are on a lot of our lists. And if you just follow the same formulas and the same strategies that are being taught, you're going to look like everybody else and they're not going to pay attention to you. So I do everything the opposite of what is taught when it's a formula or a process that can be seen over and over again in someone's email box. I approach it from, like, by the way, who has lists over 500 people? Anybody? Is everybody under 500?
Yeah.
Okay. When even starting at a very small list, when I had like 10 people on my list, I treated that list like these are my friends. Like literally treat them like your friends. Don't treat them like the dollar signs, because they're going to feel that intention. You cannot fake it. Now, understand that a lot of these big gurus that are teaching were able to build giant lists that allowed them to be less caring. And this is the old model. They were able to build giant lists really fast with Google and stuff that's not going to be allowed anymore. And so, the way to stand out now, and I never was able to do that. I built it all just like through authentic, just attraction. The way that I did it, and what he's talking about that's unique, is that I approach it from that authentic connect with them. Then afterwards, I'm like, okay, is this congruent? And I might tweak it a little bit to make sure the direct response stuff is in there afterwards. So now let's talk about congruency. Congruency is, as an example, someone fills out a lead capture page. They're on your list. You better make sure that next email relates to where they're at right now, not where you want them to be. So for example, if you're offering value on that lead capture page that says, fill out this lead capture page, you're going to get like 7 alternative ways to get way more traffic than you ever could have got on Google or PPC, whatever. And they fill it out and they got the video. Don't assume they watched it. Don't assume they didn't watch it. Both are possible. So you would send the email saying, hey, I hope you really enjoyed the email, and then you would outline everything, all the awesome stuff that it gave that taught you the 7 whatever. So now you're talking to right where they're at. This is congruency. It's huge. How many times have you got an email that's totally like out in left field on like where they're trying to take you next? Or what, how they're addressing you, like whatever. They're just trying to sell you, and so you just don't even care what they have to say anymore. So you've got to be congruent. You've got to know where they're at in your funnel, what they just saw last, and connect it to that, and then make sure that you're connecting them to the next step. And it has to make sense too. Don't make too big of a leap. Don't be trying to sell them right away. Lazy. Don't be lazy. That's what everyone else is doing. You want to stand out. You want to get the results. Give them some more value that's relevant. Like in that case, you might say, oh, and by the way, you might say something like, if you weren't able to watch the whole video, if you got interrupted, click here. And then you might say, if you were able to watch, you're really going to like this next video, because I go deeper into, how to use Yahoo, a secret tip on Yahoo, whatever. But it has to be relevant, very, very, very relevant. And then you got to decide, take a step back as you plan this funnel out. And by the way, you better be drawing the rough draft of this concept out before you begin, or you're going to be making a mess that doesn't have congruency. So draw this out, your whole funnel, and look at it and go, okay, when does it feel right to sell them? When have I established enough trust? I mean, it depends exactly what you're doing and what you're offering, but ask these questions. And then you're not rushing it. And there's no right or wrong. What's it feel like? What's it feel like? There's no science to any of this. I mean, there's science to it, but that's the least important part to how I have been able to do what Mark's talking about. And it is different. It's very different. But now times have changed. Building lists of 100,000, spamming Google, which is basically what was going on, or spamming, YouTube, which is how a lot of these big lists were built before. I mean, these days are pretty much over. Now it becomes ever so important that you don't waste the relationship of any lead that you have, any list contact that you have on your list.
Okay, so that's Mike Klingler. Amazing individuals. Generated over $5 million in the past few years online. He has a university and a free course. I'm going to kick you over there right now. It's absolutely free. You got to check out his stuff. He walks you through it step by step and click by click. It's amazing. So I'll kick you over there right now. Enjoy.